Within the depths of a temple in the ancient Mayan city of Palenque in Central America, von Däniken came upon a stone relief of what is apparently a man seated in a capsule, watching something intently. His hand seemed to be operating some undefinable controls, his foot pressing a lever. And at the rear of the capsule are jets trailing flames behind them. He seems to be dressed for the job, in trousers with a broad belt, a sort of jacket, tight-fitting at the wrists. The chair is well upholstered to absorb the shock of acceleration. Mayan legend says that he represents their space-traveling god, Kukulkan, the winged god of Palenque. He was carved sometime in the 7th century. The possibility haunts us that this figure was the artist's rendering of the ancient astronauts who inspired the Mayan culture. The church of the monastery of Desanay was decorated with mysterious frescoes some 500 years ago. The monastery is hidden away in the peaceful countryside of southern Yugoslavia. High above the chapel, almost out of sight, the fresco silently challenges our minds with its startling story. It depicts what may have been the first air battle to be witnessed by man, almost 500 years before the known discovery of flight. In the first capsule, a man is seated with his hand on some form of guidance mechanism. He appears to be racing across the sky in an attempt to escape from a pursuing ship. We can easily imagine jets at the rear of these aerodynamic forms. On the earth below them, people cower in fear as this air battle wages in the skies. If not an astronaut, then what reality might have inspired the frescoes of Desanay? Myths, legends, legacies of ancient man have not all been lost in ambiguous reference. History is the scribe of man. There are records in cuneiform, Sanskrit, Amharic, Tibetan, and languages which have not yet even been deciphered. New texts are constantly being discovered. Some, like the Dead Sea Scrolls, are readily understandable to scholars. Translating other fragments of written history is laborious and time-consuming. Only a minute fraction of surviving texts have actually been transcribed. Accounts of godlike visitors abound. For example, in the books of the Tibetan Kanchur. The Kanchur consists of over 1,000 volumes containing the holy texts of Lamaism. Their secret code is the most complex ever devised. To date, only 1/100th of the Kanchur has been deciphered. The resulting translations are full of references to gods appearing in the sky, of the luminous pearls and transparent spheres in which they lived. Once the books have been further deciphered, they may well yield much more information about mysterious space visitors. Closer to Western civilization, we have one of the world's most detailed records, the Bible. The Bible says that the Lord caused to rain upon Sodom and Gomorrah brimstone and fire. God sent his messengers to warn Lot's family of impending disaster. The angels told Lot, "Flee for your life. Do not look back. Flee to the hills lest you be consumed." The messengers were insistent that he leave the city immediately. Von Däniken wondered if they had foreknowledge of an impending cataclysmic explosion. It appears certain that Sodom and Gomorrah were leveled, laid waste at a single stroke. All traces of the communities have disappeared. So complete was the destruction. The report of the catastrophe ends. Then he looked down and beheld, and lo, the land went up like the smoke of a furnace. Mount Horeb in the Sinai Range rises more than 6,500 feet above sea level. Here Moses received the Ten Commandments. Here, too, he was given the blueprints for the Ark of the Covenant. In chapter 25 of the second book of Moses, directions are given for the construction of the Holy Tabernacle. And they shall make an ark of acacia wood, and you shall overlay it with pure gold within and without shall you overlay it. And you shall make upon it a molding of gold round about. Moses was to provide special shoes and clothing, which would properly insulate his workmen. Moses was warned that no one should come near the structure. It represented a mortal danger. And though Moses would hear a voice from the covering plate, no figure could be seen. If we were to build a replica of the ark today, according to Moses' instructions, we would have a condenser charged with several hundred volts. Could the gold sheath have been a form of loudspeaker, a two-way radio, reproducing a voice from afar? It is part of the Von Däniken theory, a romantic's explanation of biblical text based on imagination and wonder. In the fragmentary histories from the Bible to the scripts of Babylon, there are tantalizing views of Earth, seen from the distance, seen from space, seen by whom? Was it the vision of ancient astronauts communicated to the primitive population of a still young planet Earth? If we were to land on a strange planet, we would probably avoid its magnetically disruptive poles. If travelers from outer space were to land here, a likely location, almost on the equator, would be Egypt. The pyramids, eternal mysteries in themselves, provide additional evidence to support the premise that Earth was visited by ancient astronauts. The Great Pyramid rises to a height of 477 feet. 2,300,000 stone blocks, each a crushing 2.5 tons, each perfectly fitting, climbed toward the sky. The stones were transported from the Macadam Mountains on the far side of the Nile. 20,000 workmen, hauling 10 blocks a day, would need 640 years, more than 30 generations, to build one pyramid. To some, the massive structures were not designed as tombs for the pharaohs, but are in reality vast astronomical calculators. Passageways, for example, from the interior, point directly at the North Star, the way back to the heavens. If we multiply the height of the pyramid by 1 billion, it equals almost exactly the distance from the Earth to the Sun.